Hey, what's up, everybody? So, in this next episode, we're going to be talking about the last fight, Rising 37, that Sudario Tsuyoshi fought in. Good victory. We'll talk about it. Check it out. Right on.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Yamatodamashii podcast. Enson, how's it going, man? How are you?
Good, man. I had the Rising fights this weekend. It was nice.
Fun.
We got it. We got Tsuyoshi got his final comeback fight since 9 months. Yeah. So we're kind of excited about that. And I guess, I didn't really. You know how when you're in the arena from 11 in the morning for the doctor's check and everything, it's like when his fight was over, it was like already like 5 o'clock. We're like, oh, I'm out of here. So we left right after his fight.
Yeah, don't blame you. But I mean, that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. We're going to run through that whole day, that whole fight, and what was leading up to it as well. So I guess I kind of wanted to start with one of the things that I noticed that a lot of people talking about online was actually Sudario's shape. A lot of people were really impressed with the shape that he was in physically. It looked like the best shape he's been in as well, just in terms of his actual build. Is that something he's focused on a lot?
Yeah, well, he's been doing more consistent on weight training also. So he's doing a lot of weight training. We've been doing the circuit training before his fight. So he's been doing a lot of circuit training. That's like a full body workout in one day. And and then he's we're doing a lot of real good grappling rounds. We got big boys from some of the security companies that we're in touch with, and some of them are ex-judo guys, some are like amateur fighters. So they don't need to be that good, because if they're big, we call it a bull ring, where
Right.
Tsuyoshi stays in and these guys all jump in. So he gets some awesome workouts. So the change in the body is definitely from proof of hard work.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy to see, if you go back and look at the pictures of him when he was in sumo to like how he looks now, it's just night and day, right? So it's crazy.
Yeah, that they takes a lot of discipline, so you got to give him credit for that. Like for example, someone that his brother actually retired and is in the fight scene now, but is nowhere near the shape that Tsusuyoshi's in. So
That's
the,
right.
the discipline that Tsuyoshi puts into his training, and I guess his you can see he still has a little belly, and I think we'll always have it because he loves his sweets. Yeah. So as much as you say he's on a strict diet, I'm on a strict diet. We go to a steak place to eat, and he orders a chocolate parfait at the end, and it's like, oh, strict except for the chocolate parfaits. Yeah, So I think he'll always have that little belly unless he really decides to get real strict on himself. But yeah, he's doing good. I mean, I think the changes very significant changes.
Yeah.
And I think it's at a good pace for considering that he's just started the transformation. So pretty good.
Yeah, no, it was really impressive, definitely. Something you just touched on, I wanted to ask you about. It seemed like you guys had a real sort of training, lot more bigger guys to train with leading into the fight.
Yeah, the new gym that we're working at, they call it. I think they call it high rollers. These guys are like taking care of a lot of when Tsuyoshi was out for 9 months, they were taking care of a lot of his bills for him. Giving him like a monthly salary. They have me teaching their classes there. Get paid really well to teach a class. So they're really taking care of the whole situation with me, Tsuyoshi, and Sarah. Sarah's doing her weight training there with that big monster guy.
Nice.
So it's a real good setup, and these guys are really into helping out. It's because a lot of these sparring guys are not really guys that really want to fight. They're guys that used to be ex-fighters, or they're just judo guys, and they're coming in to train. Getting I teach a class Boku Kotetsu teaches a class, and so they're back in training. And before Suyoshi's fights, we at the end of the training, we bull ring Suyoshi. So these guys are they're real awesome guys because it's not. I mean, although you're the one just jumping in fresh, and Suyoshi's the guy staying in the middle, you got to figure, man, it's still hard work because Suyoshi's hitting them and stuff. So these guys are really making a big sacrifice, and we really appreciate what they're doing. So I actually offered to make bracelets for all these guys that are making that sacrifice, and they're all excited. So they're getting me their sizes and the types they want. So when I get back in September, I'll probably be making about 10 to 15 bracelets. There's a bunch of guys that's helping out, so just out of appreciation.
That's awesome, man. There's a lot of talk online, right, about the Japanese MMA heavyweight scene starting to have a bit of a revitalization, right? With names kind of coming in. I think there's quite a bit of way to go there, but it's exciting to hear that even if these guys, some of them aren't pro fighters, it's still quite cool to see, some of the bigger guys get involved.
Well, I don't know if it's about the MMA heavyweight scene in Japan, because half the guys are pretty much over the hill and pretty much about to retire. Who do they have? They have Sakai, who's a journeyman. They have Shrek and Chibisai that are kind of on the way out of of their career. You have Shoshi's brother, which is still green. So you have Ishii, which is he's really good, but he's actually on the latter half of his career. So if anything, I'm thinking that the big excitement about the heavyweights in Japan is just actually finally having a legit heavyweight in Japan that actually might be able to, in the future, do some damage in the world scene. Because think about it, there's never been a heavyweight fighter that's been in that stance of threatening the world. Like who do you have? Sakuraba, he wasn't a heavyweight. All these guys that are like Japanese stars, Shoji Matsui, Shungo Oyama, all these guys were just guys fighting in our old school days where it was an unlimited weight class. But as far as a legit heavyweight, they had Akebono. He just stayed. He had a sumo body trying to fight. Who else did you have? Kitao fought in the UFC, but just still, all these guys that fought before Suyoshi, a lot of them were sumo guys, and they're at the end of their sumo career. After they retired from sumo, they came to fighting. Suyoshi's the only guy that actually got fired from sumo in his prime and moved to fighting in his prime. So I don't know. I was just having a discussion about about this with someone, and we kind of figured out that wow, Suyoshi is actually the first ever legit Japanese national guy that can actually can actually fight in the heavyweights in MMA. You had guys like Musashi or Satake that fought in the K1, but as far as like MMA, there's no Japanese guys. There's you had Ogawa come out, you had Yoshida come out. They're pretty okay, but they still weren't legit heavyweights. I mean, Yoshida especially wasn't. Yeah,
small, right? Yeah,
Ogawa was, but he was a pro wrestler trying to see what he can do in the MMA scene, which, as we know by now, he didn't do well. But so I think that's what the buzz is more, not the fact that Japan has a lot of good heavyweights coming out, more that they actually have someone that actually might put a dent in the world scene, which Shoshi, the way he's improving, the future is really bright. You never know what's going to happen, but looks good so far.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that improvement, right? And let's talk about the fight. 2 punches? That was crazy.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is it's not really something that, we worked on. I noticed that when he was hitting mitts with us, whenever someone came, we kind of simulated Shrek coming with punches. He would step on the side and boom, pop a punch. But simulating it in mitts and simulating in the fight is two different things. So when he was starting to, he always did that repetitionally, whether he was doing southpaw or orthodox. He still, every time we rested, he stepped on the side and boom, threw a punch. And I was saying, that's a good way to counter, but is it going to be that easy to actually land it? And we know what happened. Yeah, he landed that first punch he threw and followed up with a right to the face, and good control, stopped the fight on his own.
Yeah, it looked like it was right on the temple, right? Which sort of
Yeah, it kind of was in the back of the temple area. I think in the interview, the after fight interview, they asked Shrek what he got hit with. He doesn't know, but he said he has pain. It was on the right side. He has pain behind his ear, so he's suspecting that he got hit behind there. So I think it was a little bit of the placement by the temple was really good because it kind of rattled him. And I think it's because he was running forward. It kind of like almost like followed through it, pushing almost like a little bit of a help shove on the punch on the head to help him get to the mat faster. And, Shoshi was a little bit, he was on it enough that he caught him with that right hook before he actually came to his senses. So, I mean, one punch knockout, 2 punches to finish it, but that one punch pretty much told the story. Yeah.
And I noticed a lot of people were sort of on the edge of their seat when Shrek went down, whether Sudario was going to keep laying in. But he was very respectful, right? He completely held off, and I think a lot of people were happy with that, considering what happened in the previous fights. And so
yeah, he said that he saw his eyes rolled back. Yeah. So good and bad. Yeah, good because he showed a lot of control. And of course, from his last fight, it showed a little bit of maybe a learning process. Bad because it's not your job to decide when the fight ends. The referee is, and if the referee doesn't pull them off, you should continue striking. I didn't say anything to him because he's not my type of fighter. He's more of a sportsman. So, as a sportsman, he did a good job. If he was my type of fighter, I would have been on him saying, "Hey, you don't do the work for the referee. You hit until you're pulled off."
Yeah.
Because Shrek could have his eyes rolled back, and Shoshi hesitates on the strike. He recovers and grabs Shoshi's legs, and the fight goes on.
It's true, right?
So,
especially with
those kind of things. I've seen it happen before.
Yeah, especially with Shrek ground game as well. So.
Yeah, for me it was a big. I've seen it in fights, but it actually happened to me in the Mustafa Abdul fight, where I hit him and he dropped, and then I saw him tapping, and I kind of walked off, and the ref kind of was like, "Okay, give him a standing 8 count and let him continue." But I said he's freaking tapped, but the referee apparently didn't see the tap, So
yeah,
maybe I shouldn't have walked away from that. I learned that I shouldn't walk away. I shouldn't make the decision for the referee. The referee has to make the decision and stop me. My job is only one and only, and is to finish the opponent. So, in a way, what happened was there's a lot of praise that can go into it. Old school style, man. It's like, no, you gotta let the ref pull you off. New school style, being a sportsman, having control. So I think he's more new school. He's a new school fighter fighting in the new school. So yeah, I mean, I didn't say anything about it. I think he did the right thing in this situation on how it is today and what type of fighter he is. He's not there to kill the opponent. He's there to just beat the opponent. And he saw him that he was beat.
Makes sense. So how did you guys celebrate the win?
Oh, we went home and we got in our car. He got in his car. I said goodbye, and that's how we celebrated.
Oh, for real? But
yeah,
so like meals and stuff, right?
Well, you know what it was, man? It's just we were in there from the 11 o'clock. His wife is at home waiting. I got the dogs from 9 o'clock in the morning. The dogs are in the cage. So he wants to get home. He's tired. He wants to get home to his wife. I want to get home to let the dogs out. So that's how pretty much, the fight's over. Congratulations. Right on. Okay. See you later. And, well, there's talk right now that one of his big sponsors wants to have a dinner. But the bad thing is I leave on today. Right now in Japan is Tuesday. Oh, today's Wednesday. And I leave on Friday. So tomorrow would be the only day. So they're trying to arrange a dinner, like a celebratory dinner, to congratulate him. And he called me today, asked me if they have a dinner on Thursday if I will be able to come. I said, yeah, I can. But they haven't called me back to let me know, so I don't know if they actually could plan it or not. But I mean, celebration is in that happiness at the end of the fight in the ring for me.
Yeah. That makes sense, man. It was a hell of a performance. So I guess people are quite curious in the sense that what might be next for Tsuyoshi, especially given, how quick that performance was, whether we could see him turn around quickly, maybe even on the Mikuru Mayweather card potentially.
Yeah, so right now there's it hasn't been announced yet, but we're trying to get him on the Mayweather card. Of course, as you know, that'll be boxing rules. And we're game to have him, give it a shot at boxing rules. So there's a lot of talk. It's still undecided yet, but there's like a talk right now, which is probably 80%. They're going to have some type of tryouts in Hawaii at the end of this month. And they're going to be flying in some guys from Mayweather's camp, flying in some guys from Japan. We're trying to invite all the top fighters in Hawaii and have like a little in-house practice session where what RIZIN wants to do is they want to get some fighters on the roster from Hawaii, and they want to pick up fighters to fight in the September card on the Mikuta Floyd Mayweather card. So it's a matter of who can get matched up with who. It's going to be almost like a Team Floyd Mayweather against, Team RIZIN.
Nice.
So, we're hoping that there's a heavyweight there for Tsuyoshi, and we hear that there's a guy that's Floyd Mayweather's bodyguard, Gigi. He's a big boy, and apparently he wants to fight. So if Mayweather's going to allow it, and he brings him down to Hawaii for the tryouts, and we might actually be able to match Tsuyoshi up then that in end of August for a month later fighting that Mayweather's guy in a boxing match. So kind of exciting.
Could be fun, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. And if anything, that's the next plan. Yeah, trying to get him to fight in end of September, and hopefully like sometime in October, and then in the year end. So we're looking at him having at least another 3 fights before the year, which is good. Wow. Because when you're getting like 52-second fights, you need more ring time. Yeah, no injuries on him at all.
That's great. That is really good considering the last 9 months he spent out. So it's nice to see if you can bounce back, get some more fights.
Yep. Yeah. So
I was just going to mention, because it's something that I keep hearing Sudario say in like post-fight interviews, and that he's really keen on fighting international competition. And maybe with the Mayweather things aside, is he still eyeing up, maybe competition outside of RIZIN, or do you think that?
Yeah, he actually threw out Fedor Emelianenko's name.
Whoa.
Which is interesting because he was saying something about, wants to have the passing of the torch kind of thing.
Wow.
Well, one of the ex-Pride fighters, one of the top fighters in Japan, on his way out of his career, he wants to fight him and have the passing of the torch kind of, So he's been expressing a lot of desire to not fight Japanese anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which is right now, I think he's in a good position to say that, because the guy who he lost to just, Shrek beat him up, made him quit, and he just beat that guy Shrek. So I know it's not necessarily if A beats C and B beats and C beats B beats C. It doesn't mean A is going to beat C again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did I fucking say that right? If A beats B and if A beats B and B beats C, doesn't mean A is going to beat C.
Yeah.
So, of course, what the ideal is to have a rematch with Shibisai and avenge that loss. But it's apparently Shibisai doesn't seem like he's interested in a fight with Tsuyoshi. So the next best thing is being able to dominate the guy who beat Shibisai, which he just did. So, hopefully that, there's actually no other Japanese fighters. There's Ishii,
Yeah.
Satoshi, which would be a pretty hard fight for Tsuyoshi, but
Yeah.
doesn't sound like Ishii's on the radar. It doesn't sound like he's talking to RIZIN at all, and he looks like he's doing more K1 striking more than anything else. Yeah, so maybe he's just doing standing right now. So I mean, if anything, Ishii would be like the only guy that really would be an interesting fight for Tsuyoshi in Japan. So
Japanese. So yeah. So wow, Fedor, that would be a huge fight for us.
Yeah, and I think because Fedor is kind of on his way out, getting older. Shoshi's movement and everything might actually give him trouble. On the paper, there's no way he can beat Fedor. So, I mean, for me, I'm very interested in, and I'm very attracted to that types of fight where you're not supposed to win. That was my whole career pretty much. Yeah. So I like that. Like when you're not supposed to win, you got nothing to lose. You give 100%. If you lose, you're supposed to lose. If you win, it's like a crazy, crazy event. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And RIZIN likes to do those sorts of matches, right? So, whereas underdog versus experienced veteran, I think it'd be a cool fight. I think though,
you know what I think? I think Fedor actually already did his last fight in Japan.
Right.
So I think if that does happen, it would have to be in Bellator where Shoshi travels, or we have to travel to America to get that done. So I don't know. Maybe a trip to America is in the books.
I don't know how you feel about this, but I think the last time Fedor was talking about his retirement fight, he did mention obviously Ryan Bader. I think that was the fight he went to avenge that loss. But one of the things that he said was that he wanted to do it in Russia. So I don't know. So if you're open to travel,
not to Russia, not right now.
Could be difficult.
I don't think that. Yeah, I wonder if people even traveling to Russia. I gotta make sure I check all my bags, make sure there's no THC, there's nothing in there, man. Anything questionary, I'm leaving home, man.
Yeah, for sure. Right. So
scary stuff, man.
But yeah, well, see what happens, see how it plays out. I think even wasn't Saki Kabara talking about, maybe one day doing a heavyweight tournament or something like that with international talent. So
that's what he wants to do next year.
Nice.
So, as nobody, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but Shoshi's contract with RIZIN ends this year. So if they want to run a heavyweight Grand Prix, Shoshi's a big name to have in there to make any interest in the Japanese crowd. So, there's going to be another contract negotiation at the end of the year, and we'll see if Shoshi gets a raise in pay, or he goes somewhere else. He'll be a free agent in December.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure a lot of matchmakers have their eyes on him, especially after his last two performances, right? Big knockouts, and that's what you want from a heavyweight fighter, right? So, awesome. Well, I think that does it for this express edition of the podcast. Anything else you want to add? Any parting words?
No, that's it, man. He's Shoshi's been doing a lot of training at the Extreme Couture. So, hats off to Ray Sifu, Eric Nick, and Eddie Baracco. Oh no, shit! There's a couple more coaches there, but the coaches there have been like super welcoming. All the fighters there, Tim Johnson, all these guys there just training with Tsuyoshi, helping them out. It's a lot of this victory is due to a part of the Extreme Couture helping out with his training. So, big shout out to them and thanks to them, man.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back next week, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Shoot.
Right. that was a fight just a couple days ago. Make sure you keep cheering for Tsuyoshi to do well. Okay, make sure you also like, subscribe, and share this YouTube channel.